Hi everyone, my name is Trevor Starkey, and I just want to first apologize for not being able to provide an actual image of me presenting today because my video editing software wasn't allowing me to embed a video inside of a video. But before I get started with the presentation, I would like to discuss a few things about myself. For starters, I have been in Louisiana Air National Guard coming up on 3 years come January of 2020. I am also a senior here at LSU. I will be graduating in December, obtaining a degree in interdisciplinary studies with minors in communication studies, political science, history, and leadership in human resource development. I made the decision to join the Air National Guard as my career for the near and distant future, and I'm planning to use my time being enlisted to help better myself in becoming a cyber warfare officer for the United States Air Force. Now, a disclaimer before I get started. Some of the equipment I operate is still being used in today's military. For this reason, I can't disclose pictures of the equipment or go into very technical portions of the course because that could be compromising our nation's security. But what I have been authorized to discuss is the general ideas and general software we do use. Now, without a further delay, let's get this presentation started. This summer, the 236th Combat Communications Squadron located in Hammond, Louisiana. Being here, I was tasked with going off the train at the Savannah Cyber Training Center located in Savannah, Georgia. While in Savannah, I was tasked to be there for the month of June, and while I'm there, tasked to understand the Theater Deployable Network Control Center deployed, or NCCD for short. The typical day was starting from 0800 in the morning till about 1500 to 1600 in the afternoon. During this time, we worked on anything related about the NCCD equipment. And don't worry, me telling you the name of this equipment is okay because we have new equipment coming in the near future, and this stuff will be pushed out for commercial use as well whenever the new equipment does arrive. But back to saying, being in the military, specifically the Air Force in my current situation, we have been tasked to understand how our equipment works to the point of where we can fix it in a matter of moments. The main reason as to why I choose to work in this environment for my internship is so that I can become better suited to help my unit and overall Air Force in achieving their mission, which is to fly, fight, and win in airspace and cyberspace. Now, what were some of my goals during my time here in Savannah and some of the time when I finally came back in Louisiana? What were some of the things that I need to work on in my personal growth as a leader? Well, let me tell you, it wasn't easy, but it came down to three things: delegation, communication, and teamwork. These things make up a core principle of any team, and they definitely make up my team, United States Air Force. During my time in Savannah, I recognized these three things as a major contributor to a successful leader. The first goal I set out for myself was to improve communication in my class. I find that this is a key so that everyone has an open channel between one another so that they can convey their thoughts and messages without any hesitation or wondering what certain meaning of words or slang the other person was using. An example of this was we went out to eat one day, and a young gentleman asked for a pop to go with his sandwich. Well, if you don't know anything about the North, pop is what they call their soda. Another thing was another gentleman called the water fountain at the unit the bubbly. These slang words and other terms of slang used by everyone can cause confusion, which leads to a delay of conveying information, which could possibly lead to more problems down the road. So, in conclusion, my first hurdle of my leadership goal was to get our communication to near as perfect as possible. So to overcome this challenge, we designated time outside of the work area to better get to knowing one another, and so that we can better understand the slang that everybody uses, so we can better equip our vocabulary to get the mission accomplished. My next goal was to establish a sense of a team, a sense of pride or purpose, and to try to get the teamwork dynamics rolling. It was a simple goal, but it has a lot of moving parts that have the capability of easily falling out of place, but also plenty of room for improvement. And this ties in perfectly with the task that we were assigned with building the NCCD platform from the ground up. We worked in two-man teams. During this time, we worked every issue from hardware issues to software and everything in between. And during this time, during these two-man inspections of the equipment and system checks and whatnot, the balances and everything that we ensured that the highest quality work was being pushed out by us and our team as well as the others. During this time, I got the privilege of meeting Senior Airman Dunn, a gentleman from Nebraska. Senior Airman Dunn and I were the class morale, if you would say that, and we always promoted a healthy competition in the classroom, along with making sure that everybody was never ending on a bad note during the day. While we weren't working on the equipment, we were working on our team dynamics and refined them to the point where we could think a whole picture concept. An example of this is, let's say Senior Airman Dunn and I are two sides of the same coin. Senior Airman Dunn being side A and myself being side B. And with our different ways of problem solving and coming to these solutions, we came to learn that we can get the whole image between our two viewpoints of the same situation and use that to our advantage. This increased our productivity as well as brought our workload down to a minimal between the two of us. And slowly we incorporated this idea to the others in the classroom, and before we know it, we were a well-oiled machine. But this doesn't say that we didn't run into any issues. When we all first met, we all had the issue of trying to first learn one another, learn each other's tendencies and habits and whatnot, and overall building trust with a complete stranger. But once we took these actions, you can definitely tell that work performance immediately picked up, and there was no stopping this machine that we created. Later down the road, we had a field exercise encompassing the entire squadron, if you would. The squadron consisted of 20 outstanding individuals, all consisting of different career backgrounds and different backgrounds as a whole. This helped promote this very healthy teamwork concept, which allowed everybody to do their part and chip in for the greater good of the mission. And lastly, I learned the art of delegation during this time. And I do mean the art, because this is a very hard thing to master, especially in any environment you're put into as a leader. As I mentioned beforehand, we had a whole exercise with the flight of 20 outstanding men and women, and delegating these tasks was no easy challenge. This led to an amazing experience which brought with its own set of challenges, both that made up of the instructors and that of equipment failing and backup plans having to be put in place. But on the first day, I was tasked as a team leader of these challenges. Thankfully, by this time though, our team was just working as a well-oiled machine, and we already knew each other's strengths and weaknesses. And this is where delegation came into play, and the teamwork and the communication. During this time, Senior Airman Chia and Staff Sergeant Dunn, who is no relation to Airman Dunn, these two individuals rocked it out and got IP addresses and networking established so that everybody that was getting a computer can actually connect to one another. Then we had Staff Sergeant Rutherford and Staff Sergeant Boozer. They killed it in creating personal accounts for everyone so that whenever they get to that computer, they can have their own account that is theirs and no one else's. They can change it, customize it however way they want, as long as it fit the standards brought before them to fit the overall picture of the Air Force. And lastly, Senior Airman Dunn got all the email services and stuff working. So by the end of the first day, everybody had a computer, everybody had access to personal emails inside our own personal network, which is called the intranet at that point. And lastly, myself in this whole picture is orchestrating my workshop, my classroom, and their task for today, as well as handling any type of issues that our clients and or commanders would bring up during this time. Without delegating this work and without the previous mentioned communications and teamwork that we put out and work outside the classroom to try to get these things working as well as possible, the task wouldn't have been as easy. It could have easily went in any direction. This For that day, the task was scheduled to last the entirety of the day, but because of our dynamics and group and everybody putting in that 100% effort, we got it down to as little as 4 hours. And everybody working in their strength helped contribute to the overall image of getting these systems up and running. In conclusion, the time that we took outside of the day, outside of the work day, outside of the mandatory time we had to be with one another, helped pay off in the long run. And needless to say, I couldn't have done the accomplishments that we achieved without the help of my team. And that team includes Mr. Moore, Mr. Smith, our instructors. My team I got to work with was Staff Sergeant Boozer, Staff Sergeant Dunn, Staff Sergeant Rutherford, Senior Airman Chia, and Senior Airman Dunn. During my time in Savannah, it showed that a good leader is effective, but a better team is far more effective than just a good leader. Now, coming into the slideshow, I'm starting to show some pictures from that trip. Um, the first picture is the whole class itself, the whole 20 plus of us that are in there. These are everybody working from the client system side that handles the client issues, like you can't log into your computer, to the side where the radars are getting shot up to get an internet signal. And the next slide is our team. During this operation, we were called Thanos, hence the Infinity War gauntlet on our banner, if you would. And lastly, a picture of me receiving my certificate and showing the work that paid off in the end. And this was presented to me by the local airlift wing commander. Overall, Savannah taught me a lot about being a leader and being an even better follower. And the key lessons I took away about it were communication, teamwork, and delegation. All played a big role, no matter if you were the leader or the follower. Also, I achieved my SMART goal for Savannah, and that was to get training for United States Air Force to become a deployable asset, as well as further my knowledge in the cybersecurity operations career field and better myself as a leader. In conclusion, I just want to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to y'all about my internship this summer.